Good day, my name's Hugh Reed and I'm the CEO and founder of Reed Bar Review, and I'd like to talk to you today about strict liability. Now, as you may know, a lot of the most often tested concepts for law school examinations and on the bar exam are we've reduced to manageable memory devices, mnemonics, acrostics, acronyms. You see, I'm a retired Army colonel, and in my younger years I was an Army Ranger. In my later years I ended my career by commanding 3 brigades. The last was an Army Aviation Brigade, where we teach pilots how to fly. Make a long story short, both Rangers and pilots love to perform efficiently under anxiety conditions. And that's exactly what we've done for law students and bar review students. We've provided you with manageable, bite-sized memory devices for the most often tested concepts. So let's talk about strict liability in torts. Strict liability, a concept that befuddles a lot of people, but let me go ahead and make it manageable for you. You see, there's only 3 major areas that strict liability applies to. PAW, P-A-W, products liability, abnormally dangerous activities, and finally, wild animals or domesticated animals with a propensity to do harm. So, nothing else do we apply the strict liability doctrine to. So let's talk about products liability first. Well, there are several theories that we can apply products liability to, but let's talk about Restatement 402A, the elements of which are: don't come crying to me because of the crummy product. Those are the elements of products liability under Restatement 402A. So what does that stand for? Well, the D, don't, stands for a defect, some defect, a condition unreasonably dangerous to a user or a consumer. There's a defect in the product. Come stands for control. Control, when it left the control of the seller, all right? Even if the seller did not cause it, when it left the control of the seller. The second C, changes. Changes, no significant alterations to the product. Changes. Right? To me, because, B, business, the seller has to be in the business of selling this type of product. Crummy stands for causation. So the damages have to result from the defect. And product stands for privity. No privity is required. Anyone foreseeably endangered by the product can sue if he or she is injured or incurs damages because of this. All right, so Restatement 402A, I'll summarize. Don't come crying to me because of the crummy product. Don't, defect. Come, control, when it left the control of the seller. Crying, the C, stands for changes, no material alterations of the product. Business, the seller has to be in the business, this kind of business of selling this kind of product. C, causation, and finally P, privity. No privity is required. So if you and I are sitting around watching your TV that you just bought from Best Buy, and it blows up in our face, I didn't buy the product. Do I have to? No. I can sue Best Buy. I can sue the manufacturer of the defect. A stands for abnormally activities, abnormally dangerous activities. What are they? Well, ultra-hazardous activities is another way of saying it. Fumigation, blasting operations, bungee jumping, bungee jumping. Anything that's out of the ordinary is deemed to be an ultra-hazardous activity. All right? So abnormally dangerous activities, you can sue under strict liability so long as that activity is out of the norm. Right? It's not utilities. It's not electrical companies, for example. That's within the norm. Something that's out of the norm, blasting operations, fumigation, bungee jumping, manufacturing of explosives. Those activities are out of the norm, and regardless how careful the manufacturer is or the person is who's conducting these activities, we can sue under abnormally dangerous activities, the A in Paul. All right, what does the W stand for? Well, the W stands for wild animals or domesticated animals with a propensity to do harm. All right, so wild animals, you know, you've got a pet monkey. The monkey is part of the family. He receives presents, he gives presents at birthday parties. Unfortunately for you, the monkey scratches the neighbor's kid. Well, the parents of the neighbor's kid, on behalf of the kid, can sue you for strict liability for wild animals, because a monkey is not a domesticated animal. Or let's say you've got horses, domesticated horses, that are enclosed in a barn. And they tell you in the fact pattern that the rancher or whoever keeps the horses is very careful. He checks the barn, he checks the gates every day. The horses get spooked because there's a lightning storm, and they trample the neighbor's valuable crops. And this was on an actual bar exam a couple of years ago. What is the neighbor's best cause of action? And the answer is strict liability. Strict liability. Because these domesticated animals have a propensity to do harm. All right? All right, so Paul, products liability, abnormally dangerous activities, wild animals. Now, what are the four elements of ultra-hazardous or abnormally dangerous activities? I remember them with the acronym SERB, S-E-R-B, SERB. S, safety, no way, regardless of care. Safety, no way, regardless of care. E, engagement, not a common engagement. The R, risk, a high risk to property or people. And finally, the B, a balance of danger versus the community utility. Balance of danger versus the community utility. Right? And then for products liability, you can sue on 5 theories. I remember the theories with medically fit RNs. What does that stand for? Well, the M stands for merchantability, warranty of merchantability. The F stands for fitness for particular purpose. Fitness for particular purpose. The R stands for representations. Representations or misrepresentations, or breach of an express warranty in contract. The N stands for negligence, negligence. And finally, the S in RNs stands for strict liability. So you see, when it comes to products liability under Restatement 402A, there are several theories that you can sue under. You don't have to jump directly to strict liability. you can sue for medically fit RNs, that is, merchantability, fitness, representations, misrepresentations, negligence, or strict liability. All right, having said the three major areas for strict liability, what are some defenses to strict liability? And I remember them with AIM, A-I-M. A stands for assumption of risk, knowingly doing something even though you know it's defective or you expose yourself to a recognized danger. Big sign, do not cross this sign, or do not cross this barrier. There's blasting operations and abnormally dangerous activities, and you say, what the hell? I'm going to do it anyway. Well, then assumption of risk would be one of the defenses that the defendant would raise if you sue them in strict liability. The I stands for instructions. Failure to follow instructions. You know, you buy a new toaster, you like your toast a little bit soggy, and you go ahead and wet down the bread, and you hold it into the toaster, electrocuting yourself. Well, you know, toasters run on electricity, and if you tend to like your toast a little bit soggy, don't hold on to the toast because there's a failure to follow instructions. Failure to follow instructions. That would be a defense by the toaster company. And finally, M in AIM, misuse of the product. Misuse of the product. This is a major area they like to test on. Is it a misuse of a chair to stand on the chair changing the light bulb? No, it's not, all right? Because that's reasonably foreseeable. So if the leg breaks of the chair and you fall down, well, that is not a defense to strict liability. However, let's say, you know, again, the toaster, you like your bread a little bit soggy and you pour water into the toaster. That is misuse of the product, not reasonably foreseeable. All right? That's really all there is to strict liability. Nothing to worry about. So simply work some questions and make sure you can apply it. And if you absolutely want to get some more information on this, go ahead and register an account on our website. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My name's Hugh Reed, and our number is 1-800-852-EXAM. Thank you.